a show for you today. Good morning. 6:05 on a Thursday. Glad you're here on 95.7 FM and streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Well, this is embarrassing for Kansas City. And I never want to embarrass our town, but the headlines are the headlines. And this was a worldwide headline in the Daily Mail yesterday. And here's how the headline reads. Midwest city's downtown is now Mad Max-style hellhole, where locals are scared to go out after 8 p.m. Wow. That is not the headline that any of us want to be written about our town and our community. But that was the headline in the Daily Mail yesterday. And they took a lot of the Fox 4 reporting from 2 days ago that we talked about yesterday on the show, where they highlighted some of the issues of crime that obviously have been far too frequent and common in parts of Kansas City, downtown, Crossroads Plaza, and all the places that we have talked about. And this is the kind of story that for many people that may not look at Kansas City and think about crime. They might think about crime with St. Louis. They might think about crime with Chicago, right? They get more national attention. They might say, what? In Kansas City? This is going to be an eye-opener for a lot of people who think about our town and just think about Patrick Mahomes and barbecue. We have been able to hide behind the St. Louis's of the world and the Chicago's of the world when it comes to violent crime in particular for the last several years because, well, they've had it worse. St. Louis has had it worse, and Chicago is just, one of the top 3 cities in the country, population-wise, so that's always going to get more attention. And there have been people here in Kansas City, not us, but people here in Kansas City who have said, well, gosh, we dodged a bullet there. They're not looking at us. Good thing for that. Well, now people are. We are dealing with, obviously, a homicide trend that did come down last year, about 20% from the record highs of 23, right? So you give credit where it's due. But you also had non-fatal shootings trend in the wrong direction. So you had a lot of things going on over the last 5 years that have been ugly and have been embarrassing for this town. And most importantly, have resulted in too many people losing their lives. That's the most important part. And we've been talking about these issues from the police force being down 300-400 cops, a prosecutor's office that is now in new hands but was in awful hands with Gene Peters Baker for the better part of a decade. You had members of city council who were actively trying to promote defund the police efforts over the last few years. And while they lost on those efforts, that still crushes morale of your men and women in law enforcement. And that resulted in early retirements. That hampered recruiting. And that sets you back years. You can't have a robust defund the police movement. You see guys and gals leave the police force, right? Then you also see nobody want to join the police force and then be like, yeah, I was just kidding about that. That was a bad idea. Come on in, come work for us. That doesn't turn around overnight. That takes years to turn around. And that's why we're having some of these problems that we've been having in this town for far too long. So local media has been on it. And this guy, Malik Jackson at Fox 4, man, he's been on a heater. Malik, he's been on a heater. So Quinton Lucas shows up to the Fox 4 headquarters yesterday. And the mayor will be on this show at 7:30 this morning. So you do not want to miss that. Malik Jackson gets the mayor to show up at the Fox 4 headquarters yesterday. And the quick backstory here is the owner of a business in the Crossroads shared a screenshot with Fox 4 that they had texted the mayor over the weekend about crime happening outside of their business. And there was a read receipt on the text message.
He would not respond to the text messages.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. You do a
that's
great
my news voice.
You do a great Malik Jackson. You really do.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
If this radio thing doesn't work out, you got a future. You got a future there, Mark. So Malik gets the mayor over to the Fox 4 newsroom, And he says, hey, this business owner in the Crossroads says he texted you about this crime happening and you didn't respond. And the mayor does I don't know what we're talking about here. I didn't get the text, but there was a read receipt on the text. And I don't know if this is new on the newer iPhones or the updated iOS, but I have an iPhone. I just got the 16. I had an old iPhone for years, like an iPhone 12. And now when you text people who don't have iPhones, they have the green bubbles. You now get the read receipts, which you used to only get when they had an iPhone, but now you can see it if they have an Android.
Yes, there was some type of merger where it finally happened where everybody can see the read receipts.
Well, that one screwed Quentin Lucas here over the weekend because this guy, this business owner, had a read receipt on a green bubble with the mayor. So Malik Jackson, Fox 4 reporter, has the mayor at Fox 4 yesterday, and they went back and forth on this.
Just don't misrepresent.
I think
what
it's a
I've done or what I've
misrepresentation.
said. It is a misrepresentation.
Okay, so then why is the message showing that it was read?
You didn't. I don't even know what he said. By the way, could you show me actually his original
so
message?
For the third time, we'll go back to this.
Third time. Oh, man, that was getting testy. That was getting testy. Old Malik and Mayor Q going back and forth at Fox 4 yesterday. This was on a Facebook reel. Here we go.
Tuesday, I reported about rising crime in downtown Kansas City, from reckless ATV and dirt bike riders riding through the streets of downtown Kansas City to restaurants because of this concern, and others threatening to leave the downtown area altogether, and just overall safety concerns. Well, on Wednesday, Mayor Quentin Lucas was focused on a text message and that story, even jumping in Fox 4's Facebook comment section. A Crossroads business owner sent a message to the number the mayor has shared publicly. We verified the number was correct. It was. The mayor even acknowledged it was the right number. The text is marked with the iPhone read receipt, and yet the mayor says he never got the message, even though the receipts say otherwise. We tried to ask him about the problem business owners say is getting worse. The mayor told us that conversation could wait because he had an event to go to. For our full story, go to fox4kc.com. And of course, as always, we will stay on top of the story.
There you go. Malik Jackson, Fox 4, back and forth with the mayor. Mark's clapping along in there. He loves it. He loves it. That's
great job.
That's your man, Malik Jackson. You love that guy. You love him.
This was so easy for the mayor. I just looked at it and I forgot to respond.
Dude, I know the whole city has your number. Okay, he's given out his cell phone publicly for years. Why he's getting in the weeds on whether or not he received a text message from a business owner who's dealing with crime outside of his business. Like, dude, yeah, I got the text. I got 2 little kids. The whole town has my cell phone. I know we've got problems, but you've got to be calling 911, not texting me when there's crime happening outside of your business. I know this won't be popular, and this is not meant to defend the mayor in any way, okay? We've disagreed vehemently on how to handle crime in Kansas City. But I'm telling you right now, my business is dealing with crime. I'm not texting the mayor. I might text him after the fact and say, listen, just so you know, we got more crime here in the Crossroads. We got problems. I'm just alerting you of this because you may not hear it on the news. That's one thing. And then you would hope the mayor at that point would say, hey, thanks for the heads up. You know, we're working on it. We're doing what we can, blah, 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 whatever political thing he wants to say. But, man, my first reaction, if I got crime happening outside of my business, is not, let me text the mayor. What's he supposed to do? Seriously, in that moment, what is he supposed to do? And I think he's been wrong on a lot of things on public safety. We've talked about that on the show. He's been on the show to talk about that and defend himself. But this one, it's like, this is easy. This is not difficult at all. Did he get maybe caught with his pants down, lying about whether or not he saw a text? Sure. I mean, is that the thing that's going to save anybody's life in this town? No, it's not. 913-408-7957. I want to get to you. I know the opinions are rolling in. Text line is busy already. Phones as well. Mike, you're first up. Go ahead, big guy.
Okay, you and your 3 kids. I got kids. I have had my kids when they were very little, like, kindergarten age. They get hold of my cell phone and scroll through my messages. and the message would show as read, even though I didn't know I got a message.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's what happened with Lucas, but there is a legitimate possibility that he's not lying.
Yeah.
And I don't know how old his kids are or anything that somebody's playing with a cell phone and starting to read his messages, and all of a sudden message shows read, but he didn't look at it. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that's happened to me just personally with my kids.
Yeah. And Mike, I know, we've talked before, obviously. You're not looking to give the mayor the benefit of the doubt here. Just in general.
I'm just saying in general.
I know. But my point is, you're not a staunch defender of the mayor, so you're just saying, hey, this is entirely possible that he didn't see the text message, and getting into a, pissing contest over this is not worth anybody's time.
Yeah, we're discussing how many angels can discuss a dance on the head of a pin while the city's burning down.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mike. Listen, I will admit, one of my qualities that I don't like about myself is I am bad sometimes at getting back to text messages. I just am. I'll read something and then I'll say, okay, I'm going to see that. I read it. I'm going to put it on hold and I will get back to that person. And then I admit it takes me 12 hours and it's nothing personal. It really isn't. It's just, I don't know if it's the ADD that I get sometimes or, having 3 kids running around the house and whatever it might be. If it's not super immediate or super urgent, I admit I will just be like, okay, I saw it. I acknowledge it. I probably should say something right now, but I put my phone down and I don't. It's not a trait I like about myself, but also we're in a world now where, man, you are just getting messages and notices nonstop. Growing up, if somebody wanted to get a hold of my parents in the 90s, they had to pick up a phone. And they'd have to call a house phone, too. It wasn't like the old cell phone. Or you send an email and maybe you get back to them in a couple days.
I've done that too, where my buddy in California texts me. He texts me at 9 o'clock his time. It's 11 our time. I'm already asleep. I see it at 4:30 in the morning. I don't want to text him back at 2:30 his time. And then it's all right, when do I text him?
Yes. I mean, it's that's something that all of us deal with. And I admit I'm not great at it sometimes. So this whole thing, Malik Jackson, Fox 4, Quentin Lucas, how are we going to handle the text messages? What do we do? Who's right? Who's wrong? In the end, we have a massive crime problem in Kansas City. And I'm glad it's getting attention beyond this show because we're the ones who have been banging this drum on increases in not just violent crime, but property crime and sideshows in a way that other media in Kansas City have not touched. They just haven't done it because they've wanted to, I believe, be in protection mode. Well, it seems like the gloves are off. And that's good for the city to be bringing attention to this stuff, as unfortunate as it is. But let's not get bogged down in the weeds of who's responding to text messages based on read receipts. As much as I love the reporting work that Malik Jackson is doing. 913-408-7957.
As a boomer, I just scoff at the whole notion of social media being official communique in general.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that. Maybe, and you guys have accepted Twitter more. But I'm like, this is a joke. It's online. It's just social media.
Yeah, man. And that's where the mayor's also in the Facebook comments at Fox 4 as well. Go figure. We'll get to Roger Marshall, the Kansas U.S. Senator. He will be here at 6:35. That's 15 minutes away on KCMO. We'll get to you as well. 913-408-7957. One of the big announcements that is set to come down from President Trump, I don't know if he got ahead of himself this morning, but the President of the United States announcing here on Truth Social. Now, John, you're saying that official business can't be done on Truth Social. Tell that to Trump, all right?
Well, that's where it started. I didn't say it couldn't be, but I don't accept it personally, and I thought he was a genius at trolling people.
Fair enough. Here was Trump just about a half hour ago on Truth Social. The agreement with the United Kingdom is a full and comprehensive one that will cement the relationship between the United States and the UK for many years to come. Because of our longtime history and allegiance together, it is a great honor to have the UK as our first announcement. Many other deals, which are in serious stages of negotiation, to follow. And we still kicked your butts in the war. No, I added that part. That was not actually in the Truth Social from the President of the United States, but could have been. Wouldn't have shocked me if he slipped that in there at the very end, right? That would have been very Trump of him. So we also know that there is a press conference happening at the White House this morning at 9 o'clock. If we start getting some trade deals coming in hot and heavy in the days ahead, the markets, I don't think the markets are going to skyrocket because I actually think they've priced in some of these trade deals getting done. I don't think there's going to be a massive boon, but I believe what everybody is waiting for is China. And apparently there are going to be some early quasi-negotiations, conversations happening as soon as this weekend between Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and the Chinese Communist Party. That's the big kahuna. All this other stuff is good. And I think what the strategy is here from the administration is a simple one. Lock up some of these trade deals with allies, announce them, get them done, start to build that snowball as it rolls downhill. And then the momentum is going to be such where China's going to feel like it's got to come to the negotiating table. And I'm good with that because ultimately that's the one that you got to knock out of the park. These other trade deals, I believe the rest of these trade deals are largely, I don't want to say symbolic. They're going to be better deals for the United States. But the one that everyone's going to be waiting to see how it plays out on the world stage is what we end up doing with China. And it may take some time. It will take some time.
Yeah, you're dealing with your geopolitical foe here.
Yes.
The rest are more allies in general.
Yeah. China's the bad guys.
I don't like. I think the media is helping China. They're dragging their feet. Oh, they're. It's all negative slant about Trump being twisted and arm wrestled. I'm like, would you quit carrying China's water? They're hurting.
Well, that's what they want to do.
Yeah,
they love the Chinese.
Yeah, don't believe it.
They hate Trump more than anything else. Right. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. Their Trump derangement. And in the end, if that means they have to carry China's water, they'll do it. I mean, anything to get Trump, okay?
Fake news.
I mean, anything they can do to get after Trump and to make Trump look bad, they're going to do, even if that means making China look good. Even if that means picking China's side in this negotiation. They're more than happy to do it. They don't care. I mean, they've completely lost their minds, despite the fact that Trump is back in the White House because of them, right? Because of them, because of their treatment of him, because the Democrats in general, even when they got power with Joe Biden, could not take away their infatuation from the president, former president, now current president of the United States. They could not help themselves. They allowed Trump to make the comeback that he did. He makes the ultimate comeback after nearly getting killed a couple of times. Now, he's got the swagger, the confidence, and the focus that he did not have in many respects during his first term, and he's kicking butt doing it. He's taken some big gambles. There's no doubt about it. He's taken some big swings here with the tariffs and everything else going on. But if he hits it, if he gets better trade deals, along with deregulation and tax cuts and everything else, man, we are going to be off to the races. There's no doubt about it. I love when they write these stories and you think there's going to be some big hook and some big piece of news, and then there never is. But I suppose for the Kansas City Star, that can be par for the course. Headline here, talk of a Royal Stadium in North Kansas City stir hope, doubt in Clay County. And I'm like, all right, what's the big news? What do they got for us here? Stirring hope and doubt. Well, there really was no news. They have this report here. Sources told the Kansas City Star last month the Royals have talked with the Merriman family, who control a site encompassing nearly 100 acres in North Kansas City, south of Armour Road. But the degree to which the team is interested in the location isn't yet known. Yeah, they've talked to the Merriman family for years. They own that piece of land, the old bowling alley land, due south of the main drag there, chapels and whatnot. And they've been talking to the family for years. This is not a family that likes to draw a lot of attention to itself in Kansas City. They have a lot of power. They do a lot of great work. But they're not looking for attention here. So this is not news. Sources told the Star. Okay, I mean, between this show and Keatsman's been obviously all over it. We've got more reporting and more sources on this story than the Star, 2 sports radio stations. When's Bassett, Howe, and Bob going to be right on something, huh? They're going to spring campus. Just got to dot the I's and cross the T's. Whoops. Fiserv's coming in. Oh. There you go, Mark. That's a good basset hound out of you, buddy. That's good. Not a bulldog. No, basset hound. Basset hound Bob. Nice job there. Well done, Mark. So there's no news in here. They then go on to talk to just like different random people around North Kansas City to get their general thoughts. And this line in particular stood out to me. They talked to this guy, John. John's 56 years old. He's lived in North Kansas City since 2007, and he thinks of himself as a super fan. He hasn't gone to a game in a few years, but he remembers going to the K as a kid when it first opened up in 1973. He loves the current field, but said it's getting up there in age. Okay, who cares? I mean, who cares? They put a good baseball product on the field, you're going to go. No one's ever not gone to a sporting event because, well, I don't know, that stadium, it's too old. Not the amenities aren't good. Not like, there's something wrong with it. It's too hard to get to. Just simply, it's getting up there in age. Nobody has ever decided to go to a sporting event because the stadium's old. You may not like the amenities and what the stadium offers or how to get there, but no one's ever not gone to a game because of the age of a stadium. He says here, or the Star says, as a North Kansas City resident, he'd love for the stadium to be up north, and he is prepared to foot the bill. Telling the Star, luckily right now, North Kansas City has a lower sales tax, but he said the rest of Clay County, especially parts of Kansas City, already has a high sales tax. Okay, well, North Kansas City cannot foot the bill. North Kansas City has 5,000 people in it. That is 1% of the Kansas City, Missouri population of about 500,000. There is very unlikely to be anything about a Royal Stadium in the Northland that has anything to do with North Kansas City taxes. There's no tax base. It has to be countywide. And even countywide, I mean, Clay County's got about 250,000 people in it. So you're still talking about a tax that would have to be at least half a penny, which is what is being discussed right now, to justify the team coming up north based on what they claim they need to help with building a stadium. But with all due respect, there's nothing that North Kansas City will have some role in this, but a lot of it's just going to be done between Clay County and, frankly, surrounding communities. If they need extra cops at the stadium, let's be honest, North Kansas City doesn't have the police force to do that in large part. They're going to need help, probably from KC Mo. So those are the things that are going to have to get figured out here. It's not, and I don't mean that to be disrespectful to North Kansas City. It's a great community. Stadium could be fantastic up there. I've been a fan of, if the stadium's going to go anywhere and going to leave the K, that's the place to be. But it's going to be done at a county level, not a North Kansas City level. And the man on the street thing of, my taxes are low, I'm happy to chip in. Well, with all due respect there, John, there's not a lot you can do, buddy, when you got 5,000 residents in the community. Went long there with Mayor Lucas, so we got just a minute here. But, Dennis, what do you make of our conversation with the mayor? Go ahead, buddy.
Pete, the first time I called into your show years ago was over Quentin Lucas because the channel next to yours bled over when you had that weak signal. I called him BS. I still call him BS. It's just everything he said. They have the same, talking about Baltimore, staffing problems as we have, basically, he said. Then his excuse later is, we don't have the bodies. Which way is it, bro? Either it is or it isn't. He acts like he's the victim, and his dropping the semi-cuss words, acting tough. No, I don't buy it. And the other thing I've got an issue with, okay, give the receipts that you received, didn't receive the text message to Fox 4 so if they can show us that, no, you're not lying. Because I'm not a very tech person, and the only time I have a problem with text messaging is when I don't hit that little arrow thing to send it.
Yeah, I can tell you're a tech whiz, Dennis. I got to run, my man. And listen, I think getting in the weeds on the text message deal is a waste of time. He's got a very easy excuse. I got 2 kids, I missed the text. But he went to AT&T, and I don't know, he's confirming receipts and the whole deal. Well, if you are a fan of the Make America Healthy Again movement, then you are going to see and be very happy with the President of the United States naming Casey Means to be the next Surgeon General. This comes after the first nominee withdrew. So this came down yesterday, the President of the United States announcing that Casey Means was going to be nominated as our next Surgeon General of the United States of America. As the president wrote on Truth Social yesterday, Casey has impeccable MAHA credentials. That's Make America Healthy Again. And will work closely with our wonderful Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to ensure a successful implementation of our agenda in order to reverse the chronic disease epidemic and ensure great health in the future for all Americans. Her academic achievements, he writes, together with her life's work, are absolutely outstanding. Dr. Casey Means has the potential to be one of the finest Surgeon Generals in United States history. Congratulations, Casey, he writes here. Secretary Kennedy looks forward to working with everybody in another capacity at HHS. Thank you for your attention to this matter. All right.
Where's Casey? Where is she?
Where's Casey? We love you, Casey. All right. So to give you a little insight into how Casey is and what she's all about, she worked with RFK when he was running for president. She helped form the alliance between Trump and RFK, give that endorsement to the president from RFK. So she was instrumental behind the scenes. She has been on the MAHA movement for a long time. Here she is on HBO talking about the issues that we face from a health perspective in America and how we have to turn things around. This is Casey Means, the new Surgeon General nominated by Donald Trump yesterday. Here we go. In 3, 2, and 1.
So more than a health epidemic, which is what we have in this country, I mean, health is getting destroyed in the United States, which we don't really talk about because it's not profitable to heal in this country. It's profitable to keep people sick and then drug them, cut them, and bill them, which is what we learn how to do. And really what we have here is a disconnection crisis. And the healthcare crisis is one branch of that tree. We're disconnecting the body into 100 separate parts and not seeing as a unified system. And we're disconnecting the body from the environmental conversation, which actually we're really one and the same. You know, we are totally connected to nature, and in destroying nature through the pesticides and the way we're treating animals, our health is a reflection of what we're doing to the earth.
Sounds pretty good to me. I'll take more of that, please. May I have another? When you hear Casey Means and you hear that commentary, that was on Bill Maher's show on HBO. Credit to Bill Maher for having her on. When you hear commentary like that, tell me what you're disagreeing with. Now, some people have noted that she did not finish some of her residency requirements from medical school. And if you want to die on that hill, be my guest. But I'll tell you right now, the credentialed class in medicine has failed us. They have let this country down. They have failed us miserably for years. And we're more unhealthy than we've ever been, collectively speaking, as a country. So I'm sorry if I'm not sitting here fawning over the idea of somebody who graduated from, finished all the requirements from the most elite universities in the country being the next Surgeon General. Somebody came up a little short. I'm sorry, that's not what we need right now. We need somebody who's thinking differently. We need somebody who is outside the box. And we need somebody who's going to be talking about exactly what you heard Casey Means talk about there on the Bill Maher show. And that is a country that, frankly, is getting destroyed right here in the United States. And we don't talk about it. Why? Because, as she said, it is not profitable to heal. It is profitable to keep people sick. It is profitable to drug them, to cut them, and to bill them. And that's what we do in America. And how's it working out for us, by the way? Now, yes, there's a personal responsibility angle to all this as well. I'm not naive to that. I understand, you got to make your own decisions. You got to eat healthy. You got to exercise. Those are all things that you got to do if you want to have a long, healthy life. No doubt about it. But the broader conversation in terms of how we heal America and how we fix our health crisis, and boy, is it real when you get obesity rates at 40% in America, you need somebody who's thinking differently. And Casey Means does exactly that. When you do the same thing over and over and over again with the same kind of people from the same kind of places with the same kind of backgrounds, and you're expecting a different result, at some point, that is the definition of insanity. And that's exactly what we've done in this country for far too long. So, and Casey Means, she'll talk to anybody, to her credit. She's done Bill Maher. She's done Tucker Carlson's show. If you didn't hear what she had to say on Tucker Carlson's show, I thought this was fantastic as well. Take a listen.
They make us sick, but they don't kill us, and then we are drugged for life. You look at what's happening in children. A child born in a hospital in the United States today, within hours of coming from source into this, into this body, the first thing that happens to them is pharmaceutical intervention without really asking, there's barely informed consent about this. That child's eyes are smeared with erythromycin ointment, and they're given a hepatitis B vaccine in their first day of life. And what are these two things for? I mentioned this because it's just emblematic of how we're put on the pharma treadmill from the moment we are born in this country for reasons that are very strange. The erythromycin ointment is to prevent chlamydial infections of the eye, which we test women for chlamydia. So why would every baby in the United States need this ointment if the mom doesn't have it? And the Hep B vaccine is for hepatitis B, which is a sexually transmitted disease and IV drug user disease, of course, which babies are not going to be exposed to. And yet every single baby in America is getting the intervention. So from literally the day we are born, we're on this treadmill.
So, why not test the pregnant mother for those?
They do.
Okay, so
they give it to the women who, even if they have tested negative,
which
they
should
give
be
it to
the
babies.
overwhelming majority.
Absolutely.
That was Casey Means on Tucker Carlson's show. She's done Bill Maher. She's done Tucker Carlson. And, I know. And you're already seeing it on social media. You're seeing some of the hit pieces come out, New York Times, CBS, elsewhere. Crackpot! You got crackpot alert! Okay, all right.
You mustard.
I've heard enough of that. This is somebody who is looking at what we've done in this country and saying, you know what? It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's not one thing we're doing wrong. We're doing everything kind of wrong. When it comes to diet, when it comes to what we put into our bodies from the day we're born until we're older, it is a holistic approach, and it needs to be looked at differently in the United States. And that scares a lot of people. This conversation scares a lot of people who have a lot of power in America today, because they've made a lot of money off of America getting sicker and less healthy seemingly by the day. 913-408-7957, our studio line and our text line. New York Times writing here, Dr. Means has also pushed for a concerted campaign to pare back corporate-friendly policies related to the production and sale of food and medicine. For example, she has supported serving more nutritious meals in public schools, investigating the use of chemicals in American food, putting warning labels on ultra-processed foods, forbidding pharmaceutical companies from advertising directly to patients on television, and reducing the influence of industry among drug and food regulators. What part of that do you not like? I'm genuinely curious. What part of that do you say, I can't have that? That's too much. Now, I know some of you are screaming, saying, this is what Michelle Obama wanted to do on healthier school lunches. You're right. And Republicans, in hindsight, were wrong on that. No doubt about it. That was actually an admirable effort by Michelle Obama to make school lunches healthier. And Republicans you're not going to tell my kids what to eat. It's okay, guys. Now, it doesn't mean that they were right about a lot of other things. They were wrong on most things, but they were right on that one. So I give credit where it's due. Let's go to Alex in Overland Park. Hey, Alex, you're on KCMO. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. So I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 30 years, and I agree everything that you guys are talking about 100%. But the one thing that I would have people keep in mind is when you go to the doctor, you have an interaction with somebody in a hospital or a doctor's office or whatever. I don't want people to start thinking these people are not on my side or these people are out to get me. It's the care model that's the problem. your doctor, I guarantee you, wants you to be well. They're not trying to, push things on you because, maybe they have financial incentives, but they're not supposed to, right? They're not supposed to.
Yeah.
The pharmaceutical industry has changed over the last several decades to where that, when I work at a birth center. So 25 years ago, we had formula reps out there. And they would come out and they'd give candy and they'd give all these treats and stuff to the nursing staff. That's not allowed anymore. So understand there is a marketing shift. The difference is the care model has gotten to disease treatment versus disease prevention. And that's what this Surgeon General nominee is talking about.
Yes.
And that's what we really have to focus on is having the conversations about your mental health. How do you take care of yourself? Your living situation. What do you eat? How much exercise you get? And the hard part is all those things can be really hard. And at the day, that's actually on you as the patient to think about what you're eating, to get outside and touch some grass, to make sure that you're not eating crap all the time. And so, our doctors and nurses and healthcare people can educate us, but really the action point comes from the patient themselves.
I'm so glad that you confirmed and clarified a lot of that, Alex. It's a great point. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're right. And I want to make sure if that was not clear in my message, you're right. I don't think your nurses and your doctors here around Kansas City are trying to screw you or hurt you. It is a holistic approach. The model is, yes, broken to some degree, and there is a huge element of personal responsibility. Paula, go ahead. You're on KCMO.
I am so excited about this nomination. Casey Means wrote a book, Good Energy, and her story is unbelievable. She was a endocrinologist, graduated #1 in Stanford, and endocrinologist surgeon. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but her own experiences. Her own experiences with her mother's health and her own health led her down this path of searching out other answers. And it's just interesting. It is. I'm just so thankful for RFK and her because we need a change.
Thank you, Paula. Have a great day. Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Well said. Marie in Missouri. Go ahead, Marie.
Hey, yeah. So I am in my 30s, and I have been struggling with autoimmune disease since I was in my early 20s, and I decided to go with an autoimmune doctor to get some answers. And all they want to do is push this medication, and I've tried multiple different medications, and all of them just make me feel like crap and have terrible stomach pains on top of everything I'm still dealing with. And I said, hey, I don't think this is working. Can I try a holistic effect? Can you give me a model or, can you help me with eating better foods and stuff like that? And, look at my labs, and they don't want to do it. And it's just shocking to me that they don't actually want to look at the biologic part of it, and they just want to slap a Band-Aid on it with medicine that is actually worse for me than actually trying to fix the problem. And as a mom myself, I don't want that for my children. And it's just really saddening to me that that's what it's come to. But I'm really excited for, the way that we're going, hopefully the way that we're going into to maybe fix some of these things and take some things out of our foods that are going to affect us later on in life.
I totally agree, Marie. Thank you very much. And, this is what it's really about, taking a different approach. And the conversation doesn't change everything overnight, but it can certainly help trend things in the right direction. Well said. Yeah, that's right. It's right around the corner. Don't you know, right? Come on, 8:35. Good morning. Glad you're here on 95.7 FM. We are, 3+ weeks away from a very holy month, Pride Month. I say that a little tongue-in-cheek. Just a little. But yes, it is the holiest of months. So that's coming up, and the foundation is being laid by many in media to basically use the 30-day month of June to beat up on Donald Trump, beat up on Republicans, I guess, and anybody who might have questions about what the movement has turned into in 2025.
Harrison Butker's name comes up on day one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yep. He'll be on the list. Don't you worry. Absolutely. There'll be some Harrison Butker stories out there. No doubt in my mind. So Kansas City Star writes this yesterday afternoon. KC Pride Fest lost corporate sponsor money. Trump anti-LGBT rhetoric is blamed. Okay. Before we go any further, I'm going to ask everybody a question. Do you know who was the first president to take office approving of gay marriage?
Donald.
You're right about that.
Such a nice man.
Yes, that's right. It was Donald Trump. It was not Barack Obama. Now, Obama came around to it after he was in office. But the first person to enter the White House approving of gay marriage was Donald Trump back in 2017. Wasn't Obama. Wasn't Bill Clinton. Slick Willie. Go back, obviously, you're not going to find a president. It was Donald Trump. So I just think that little tidbit needs to be out there before we even go any further with this ridiculous story in the Kansas City Star. But we'll continue with the story in the Kansas City Star just for the sake of a couple of chuckles here before you get to the office on a Thursday morning. They write here, Kansas City's Pride Fest, which each June draws 22,000 people to a parade and weekend celebration of the LGBTQIA plus pride, is this year seeing both a loss in corporate sponsors and a reduction in their level of giving. Organizers place the blame on what is currently a $200,000 shortfall directly on the anti-DEI and anti-LGBTQIA plus rhetoric that has emanated from President Donald Trump's White House. Okay, the DEI thing is more about making sure that we have a meritocracy in this country, especially in our government. Has nothing to do with, who's sleeping with who.
Not related.
Not related at all. And when they claim anti-LGBTQIA plus rhetoric, once again, nothing to do at all with anybody being gay. Simply saying, hey, when it comes to men and women's sports, we're not down with that. We're not going to sit here and act like a male should be able to compete against a female at any level of athletics. We're not going to sit here idly and stand by as men try to just haphazardly walk into women's locker rooms, like what happened at the YMCA in North Kansas City, and just, try to treat that as some kind of normalcy. It's not. We're not going to be down with that. That's not fair to women. Once again, nothing to do with anybody who is gay. Totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. But that's how this story is framed by the Kansas City Star, because, of course,
we've been throwing around quite a few letters there.
Yeah, I know.
I think the LGB part of TQIA plus has had had enough of the last half of the alphabet there of TQIA plus. They're included so that we can get more victims under the umbrella, you see.
I know.
And so we're always talking about TQIA plus, not so much about LGB.
Exactly.
Interestingly enough.
Exactly. I mean, I think the LGB folks are getting a raw deal, having to deal with everyone on the back end of the alphabet, to be honest. So they announce here, and they write here in the Star, that in March, the St. Louis Pride Fest announced that Anheuser-Busch has no longer opted to support the organization's festival after 30 years of having done so. In Minneapolis, organizers of the Twin Cities Pride Festival opted to remove Target from its annual celebration after the retail giant announced in January it was scaling back its corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. So, first off, one of those is St. Louis Anheuser-Busch. I think we all know what happened with Anheuser-Busch and why they might be a little hesitant to go all in on Pride Month. All right? I think we all know what that may, tie back to.
Normalize the bulge.
Thank you. Yes, I think we all know and remember that from a couple of years ago. So they've probably wisely backed off of their politics for obvious reasons. And in Minneapolis, it was the organizers of the festival who took Target out of its annual celebration because they basically scaled back their DEI initiatives. So they made that choice on their own. So now here in Kansas City, they write the Pride Festival scheduled for June 6th, 7th, and 8th. Starts on Saturday, June 7th, Westport Road at 11 a.m. So I'm still waiting to find out what exactly happened here. I mean, we're several paragraphs into this piece on the Kansas City Pride Parade, and I'm still looking for just like some type of evidence that they're not getting the corporate advertisers that they want. And by the way, how much money does it cost to put on a parade? They're like, we're $200,000 short. I mean, I'm just pretty sure you just got to book the dates and book the time, and maybe it costs you some money for security and stuff like that. But saying, boy, we need another $200,000 to put on a parade for what? I mean, I know that they like hire musical acts and things like that, but who are you hiring at that kind of a price point? My goodness. All right, here we go. Let's go further down the list. All right. Into the article. We're about 2/3 of the way down. At this point, a month prior to the event, KC Pride typically has corporate sponsorship commitments equaling $250,000. Instead, so far this year, they only have $50,000. They add the KC Pride website features logos of numerous sponsors for the 2025 event, UMB, Arvist, Ameristar, a lot of lists on here. Vivint Health, CBD companies, things of that nature. Medina, the guy who's helping run this deal, opted not to name organizations that have chosen to no longer support the event. He also would not say which companies had reduced their giving. So this brings up a bigger question, and this is a bigger conversation. Maybe companies reduce their giving because of economic reasons. Is that allowed or no? See, and this is the problem. This is the problem that is developed over many, many years. Didn't happen overnight. We went from a point of, hey, tolerance. It was like, hey, you know what happens in somebody's home is not your business, and just ignore it, and it's in the privacy of their home, and that is what it is. And I think a lot of people are like, all right, it's hard to kind of argue against that. All right, I mean, that's fine. And then it became a little more about acceptance. And then it was like a little more in your face, and you've got to accept this. And there are a lot of people who are like, well, I've got things and religious reasons for not agreeing with it and other reasons. So I'm not sure I'm on board with this, and I don't really want to accept it, so I'm not going to. And then we went from tolerance to acceptance to suddenly now we're in the allegiance phase. In the allegiance phase, it is basically demanding you do as you're told, you give as you have done, and if you don't, what are you, a bigot? What's wrong with you? And that's where this thing crept and crept and crept and crept and crept up to the place where now if you say, hey, like, yeah, I was okay with the tolerance side of this, but I'm not looking to be in a place where you're going to hold me hostage and allege that I'm anti-something because I'm not donating, because I'm not, being a sponsor at the levels that you've had in the past. And that's where we find ourselves right now, where it's more of a shakedown in many respects. And you are perceived to be, and in some cases called, whatever, transphobe, homophobe, whatever, if you don't do exactly what you're expected and told to do. And that's not how this whole thing began. And that's where a lot of companies and a lot of people are throwing their hands up and saying, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to be shaken down anymore. And frankly, I'm not going to get involved in this stuff that's way too controversial in the eyes of a lot of people.
What you're talking about is exemplified in the Seinfeld episode where Kramer won't wear the ribbon at the walk.
Yes.
He made the donation. No, I don't want the ribbon. That's no, you got to wear the ribbon. Right? No, I made the donation. It's fine.
Yes, that's perfect. I love that. That's a great episode. He gives the donation. They give him the ribbon, and he's like, I don't want the ribbon. I gave you the donation. Take my money. I'm not wearing the ribbon. And they chase him out. You're going to wear the ribbon.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Wait. You must wear the ribbon. Oh, man. Seinfeld was always ahead of its time. That's a great example.
I've been called a hater for eating at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. I mean,
it's like when I bring it in, it's a bag of MAGA.
I mean, a bag of MAGA. It's ridiculous. I mean, and that's how this thing has crept out through the years. Where, it started off with most people saying, hey, you know what? Tolerance, fine. It's out of sight, out of mind. Now, you eat at Chick-fil-A and you're called a bigot. Like, where do you draw the line of absurdity? I would have drawn it a long time ago. So there's two angles here. One is that the pride element has been corrupted by the back end of the alphabet mafia that Donald Trump has really focused on when it comes to protecting women, which has nothing to do with anybody who's gay. Nothing whatsoever. It's completely separate and irrelevant. And then the other side is how we've gotten to the point where now the Kansas City Star is going to write pieces that more or less shame the business community for not giving to a pride fest in the way they have in years past. insinuating that it's driven by the president of the United States, an anti-alphabet movement, or something else, when it could be economics, when it could be corporations saying, right now, I mean, there's kind of a pushback to all this. I supported it when it was more pride-related, but now I don't want to deal with the back end of the, alphabet. I'm not about that. It's like we can't just sit here and point the finger at people and try to shame them. But that's the goal of this piece. Let's be very clear. That's the goal of it. It's not about putting on a show. It's not about putting on a parade. It's about shaming the business community in Kansas City to do what they want. And that is something that I hope the business community just stands up for themselves on and doesn't feel like they are getting shamed into anything. Because in the end, I would be curious on this too. Like, there is no ROI on this stuff. There isn't. There is zero ROI in any of this. And at a time when a lot of businesses are saying, hey, I got to get ROI to be putting tens of thousands of dollars into some kind of a sponsorship, I'm sorry, that this is not going to be the answer, especially when there's controversy surrounding it. And that's not anti-anything. That's just pro the business that I run and operate and own. That's it. Did you hear our buddy Bernie Sanders yesterday? He was on with Bret Baier on Fox News. Oh, man. It was just epic. Epic for all the wrong reasons, though, of course, as is always the case with Bernie Sanders. All right?
Oligarchs out there.
I know. He's fighting the oligarchy in his private jets, and that is what Bret Baier asked him about. Now, I give Bernie credit for going on. There not many people, notable Democrats, are going to go on Fox News with Bret Baier. Bernie does, so I give him credit for that. That's where the credit ends. But I do give him credit. He was asked about his private jet rides as the guy who's fighting the oligarchy, and here's what he said. You think I'm sitting in a terminal waiting for a United flight? Come on now.
Alyssa Slotkin, senator from Michigan, she said you shouldn't be using oligarch. It's over people's head. You've gotten criticized from other people. Free Beacon says Bernie Sanders spent $221,000 on private jets fighting the oligarchy tour, paid for by friends of Bernie Sanders. That you've spent millions of dollars in campaign funds on private jet travel over the years. How do you push back on both of those things?
When's the last time you saw Donald Trump during a campaign mode at National Airport?
No. It doesn't. But he's also not fighting the oligarchy.
No. You run a campaign and you do 3 or 4 or 5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United waiting, 30,000 people are waiting? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
Oh, gosh. Now, here's the thing. We're in a moment where politicians don't admit when they're wrong about anything. That's the moment that we're in right now. But I love how Bernie's initial gut reaction there is to be like, but Trump. Yeah, but right, Trump's not the guy trying to tell people they can't drive a gas-guzzling SUV, okay? In the name of
trying
saving
to get
the
them
planet.
The gas for their SUV.
Yeah. Trump is not the guy who's out there saying to people, I'm fighting the oligarchy as I fly in a private jet. Well, I can only fight the oligarchy by showing up in my private plane to 30,000 people. I have no apologies whatsoever. Trump is not the guy who's out there pulling the Bernie Sanders, acting like he's just a little guy fighting for the everyman as he flies around in a private jet. That's not what Trump is doing. He's actually fighting for the little guy, but he's not cosplaying as, one of us. He's not doing it. And Bernie is. He wants to tell you what car to drive. He wants to tell you how much gas you can emit. He wants to force you into an electric car. Meantime, here are the numbers. The average passenger vehicle emits 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year. 4.6. Okay? Meantime, what about those who fly private? A private jet can emit 2 tons of CO2 in just 1 hour. And those who regularly fly private may produce 500 times more CO2 in a year than the average person. 500 times more than the average person. While this guy wants to tell you and tell me what cars we can drive, what's safe for the environment as he flies a private jet. But you see, he has to, John.
That's right, Pete. I am busy. I don't have time to rub elbows with the great unwashed masses out there. Right? It's basically what he's saying. He's too good to travel commercial.
You think I'm sitting there at United? 30,000 people waiting for me.
Why is United top of mind, Bert?
Yeah, I wonder that as well. That's a good point. It's like Al Gore. He's got to fly private to go pick up his global warming awards from other countries. Do you realize how absurd and ridiculous you sound? And, of course, the answer is they don't. They don't.
He's a nut job.
9:05, still waiting on the Pope. I saw this on X. Very funny. If no Pope is decided after 4 sessions, each called cardinal alternates possessions from the 25-yard line. After 2 more sessions, they have to go for the 2-point conversion. That's well done.
I was thinking when you see the smoke, that's just like the selection is in, because we still have to walk up for the announcement. We're going to be excited seeing white smoke, but it's still a few more minutes or time passes before you get the name, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's just like the draft, like we were saying.
Roger
the
Goodell.
Selection is in.
Yes. I need my draft music that we used a couple of weeks ago from ESPN.
Yep.
There we go. The pick is in. We are following and obviously keeping a very close eye on what's happening here in Kansas City as it relates to crime. This week, crime has been at the forefront of the conversation in Kansas City. Now, on this show, it's been at the forefront for the better part of 5 years. But some people are late to the party, and that's okay. Better late than never. But what you have now is more businesses speaking up and speaking out and saying this is not a tenable situation. Let's roll this here. I want to play this package and get your thoughts on it. KCTV5 did this piece on how a guy who owns a parking lot in Kansas City has put up a 6-figure system that every time there's somebody who is basically detected in the parking lot, you get you're under surveillance.
You are under surveillance.
That's what it sounds like. This is at like 17th and Main, give or take. So KCTV5 went down there, and they got the reaction from business owners all over the place to talk about this. And I'm on the side of surveillance guy because of what this town has been going through. I mean, we know about the Fox 4 drama, Mayor Lucas, Malik Jackson going back and forth this week on more crime. You know, Manny's, the guy that owns Manny's down on Southwest Boulevard, he talked to Channel 9 yesterday and said, if this doesn't get better, I'm going to have to shut this place down. But this one in particular has drawn a lot of criticism. And I've been surprised by the criticism based on the issues that this town is facing. Here's KCTV5.
Hey, Lauren, exactly. So this is motion detected, and all you have to do is walk a few steps back this way or drive through the area. I think it knows me by now, but it'll let you know that you are under oh, there we go. You are under surveillance. The property owner telling me that he is just trying to prevent crime, saying that it's come down to this.
So dystopian.
Just kind of alarmed more than anything.
Anytime you walk or drive into these 2 parking lots off 17th and Main Street, you're going to be greeted by this.
We have a lot of weddings here.
David Epstein is the owner of Tomstown Distilling, which is directly across the street from the parking lots.
So in between saying I do, they have to hear you're under surveillance.
Epstein believes this loud voice is turning customers away.
We have seen our weekday sales go down, and I attribute that 100% to that.
I spoke to the owner of the lots to get some answers. He tells me, quote, while spending 6 figures to improve security was not something we wanted to do, we felt we had no choice. Since installing these systems, we've seen a major reduction in property crimes on these 2 lots with no stolen cars. Our tenants and businesses that use these lots have expressed their appreciation for the investment we've made in security.
All right, well, I totally disagree with Tomstown owner David Epstein. He's mad at the property owner across the street for putting up his own security because he can't trust the city that he pays taxes to keep his clients and his residents who use that lot safe. So he invested 6 figures in this system. And yeah, it's kind of annoying.
You are under surveillance.
But you know what? If I know that if I park there, I'm going to come back to my vehicle not being broken into or stolen, I'll park there every time. Yeah, it's a little annoying. Get over it. I'd rather have my car there when I come back. And for anybody to think that at Tomstown, which I've been to Tomstown, I mean, you know, it's been a while, but we've been there and we've had a drink there and it's a nice place. But to think that somebody's not going there because of an annoying noise or voice coming out of a parking lot across the street, I'm not buying that for a second. Okay? Maybe your business is down during the week because people don't want to go to your part of town because of the crime that's happening around there. David, you ever think of that?
Maybe it'd feel better if Quentin Lucas voiced the message like at the airport.
Yeah. I came home to that on Sunday. I was like, really? Come on. Can I wait to hear Quentin Lucas's voice till Monday morning? As a guy who does this for a living, you're killing me here.
So it's the pedestrian thing that goes, wait.
Yes.
Wait. I'm like, dude, I'm waiting.
Yeah. It's like the same voice, too. That guy must make a killing. Yeah. I need to get that job. Jeez, that's a lot easier. So you hear that, and you say to yourself, hey, this is because business owners have been forced to make their own decisions to try to keep their places of business safe. They've been forced into this. And for a fellow business owner to somehow claim that that noise is why their business is down, dude, I mean, you've been living under a rock in this town? You're right there in the heart of Crossroads. People don't want to be out there after it gets dark. Heck, they don't want to be out there when it's starting to get dark. Our business is down because of that annoying voice in the parking lot. My God, there is no way. I mean, that might be your opinion, but you got to have something to back it up. Outside of like one person told you that the voice is annoying and they're not coming back. If you like Tomstown that much and they make good drinks, you go there for the drinks. And if you like the drinks that much, you're not going to turn around and leave because of a voice from a parking lot across the street. That's ridiculous. Brandon's in Kansas City. Hey, Brandon, you're on KCMO. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Pete. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. What's happening?
Actually, just giving a call. I'm actually a district manager for a parking company. I run properties from the city market all the way to the plaza. And the big issue that all of us operators are facing down here is the police shortage, the overpacked jails, the same repeat offenders that are getting catched and released like they're fishing, and they're not getting any keepers. They're just letting everybody go, and it's a pain. We have lists of perpetrators that we see as repeat offenders that go to these parking garages and lots and continually, break into cars, steal Kia, smash through gates. And all sorts of nuisances. It's a hassle. It's a pain in the butt, but it's definitely city mismanagement. And that monitoring system, there's not a lot of those in the city, and they're really pricey to have those, to have that option. But what else do you do when there's no one else that's stepping up to stop these perpetrators?
So what happens when you guys reach out to the city and say, hey, it's the same cast of characters we're seeing all over the place?
They say the same thing. Staffing shortages. They keep all the mobile soup kitchens that keep bringing a lot of these people down here by the library downtown and other areas that keep bringing these people. They're not worried about their food. If they quit feeding the homeless, I mean, honestly, in my opinion, in this area, it'll stop a lot of these issues. As they're not worried about food. They're worried about their next high. So that's why they're smashing all these cars or doing all these different crimes. And it's just the same old. They're not really giving us a direct answer. All the town hall meetings I've been to, but it's frustrating. It's a daily occurrence, and I don't see anything getting better unless there's more repercussions for people and consequences.
How long you been on the job?
3 years.
Okay. Have you seen it get steadily worse? About the same over those 3 years?
About the same. It's been the same since I've been down in this market here.
And then what do you tell people when they're coming back to broken, car windows and stolen vehicles and things like that?
It's kind of repeated. Get a hold of your insurance company, file a police report. Because all these garages, it's park at your own risk. So, I mean, we don't have any liability because we can't vet a lot of the people coming in to the garages because they can pull a ticket or whatever means they can to get on the property. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's I would tell anybody that comes downtown, don't have anything in your vehicle. I tell some repeat offenders that have their car broken into over and over, just keep your doors unlocked and nothing in your car. It kind of sucks to say that, but at the end of the day, these thieves ain't smart. I had a car that had a window broken into, and 3 days later, someone else broke into another window because they didn't realize the other window was already broken into. So there's not a lot of smart criminals down here. So I would just say don't leave anything in your car if you're going to come down to town to the urban core, or if you're going to an event, don't bring your firearms, because those are the hot target items that people are looking for.
Wow. Well, thank you for that, Brendan. I really appreciate the input, man.
It's not a problem at all. Thank you guys. You guys are doing the Lord's work. I appreciate you guys, and not a problem, man.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you, man. Have a great day. We're just the messenger here. That's it. We're just the intermediary. But think about that. What do you think John Sherman's thinking about right now as he considers putting a $2 billion baseball operation downtown? Can't you say he dodged a bullet, no pun intended, with that vote last year going down to the crossroads? You think John Sherman's seeing the news cycle this week and being like, you know what I got to do? I got to put that $2 billion stadium right next to Union Station. That's what I got to do.
I got to get me one of those. You're under surveillance.
Yeah,
yeah, right? Can you imagine that at Royal Stadium or Arrowhead after a Monday night game?
You know what? If that thing's in the parking lot outside of the stadium, a Tuesday 1 o'clock pitch against the Twins, you might hear that thing inside the stadium, right? 913-408-7957. Now, what are business owners saying when it comes to potentially leaving Kansas City? We'll get to that, plus your calls, your reaction. 913-408-7957 coming up next on KCMO. You've got Manny's down there on Southwest Boulevard. Their owner's getting very loud. Talked a couple of days ago to Fox 4, and yesterday Channel 9 KMBC had a big report as more and more business owners are starting to speak up around Kansas City about the crime. For years, we could only get Bill Nigro, who owns a bunch of buildings down in Westport, to speak out. And there was a time when Bill would come on the show and he would say, hey, some of my tenants don't want me to talk like this about the crime down there. They don't want any part of it. And now, finally, people are like ripping the Band-Aid off. They're saying enough is enough. And in the case of Manny's, their owner's saying, I may have to walk.
Well, for more than 4 decades, Manny's has been a staple here in Kansas City, but crime is threatening their future.
This is not about politics. This is not about who you voted for. It's about protecting our home. It's about...
I'm just going to stop right there, and I'll continue. But it is about politics. Okay, it is. I know they're trying to soften this whole thing because they don't want to be seen like some type of conservative in a blue city being upset with crime. No, it's not political in the sense that we all want the same thing, but it is political because there's one political party that has failed on this issue for half a decade now and is trying to backtrack like Homer Simpson walking into the bushes. They run out, defund the police, rah, we don't need cops, send out the... psychologists to take care of people. And now it's like, wait, that wasn't us. Nope. We're going to just scoot on back here into the bushes and everything's going to be A-okay. So I understand why he's prefacing these comments by saying this isn't political, but it is political. It is. Everything is right now. Sad to say, but everything is.
Us.
Owner David Lopez says crime is pushing his business to a breaking point.
Bricks being thrown through their front doors. Break-ins, cars being stolen, the ATV, the dirt bikes, the all these vehicles that are running up and down.
He's invested in private security to keep Manny safe, but he says it's not enough. He's calling on city leaders to do more. The mayor acknowledges the problems and is working towards stepping up police presence in the area.
This sort of activity happens all the time at certain places. We do look to KCPD command staff and everyone to make sure that they are deploying folks in those areas necessary to do it.
The thought of relocating or even closing is unthinkable for a business that's been in his family for generations. But Lopez says it's now on the table.
For the first time, probably ever, those concepts are on the table. I do not want to leave my home, but when I start to feel danger for the people that I employ and for the people that walk through my doors, I'm not going to wait for that to completely unravel.
All fair points by Mr. Lopez, the owner of Manny's. That's from Channel 9 KMBC last night. But it is political, to be very clear. And now you've got the Daily Mail. I shared this yesterday on X, and the Daily Mail headline read as follows. Midwest city's downtown is now Mad Max-style hellhole where locals are scared to go out after 8 p.m. Kansas City has been blessed from the standpoint of getting to hide behind St. Louis as the major city with far worse crime in Missouri, and even a city like Chicago, which is a top 3-4 city population-wise in the country, and is kind of viewed as that Midwest city where they can't handle crime. So we've been able to kind of hide behind both of those cities. But now if the Daily Mail's writing about you, you know that this thing is getting worldwide attention. And that is not good for, obviously, Kansas City. It's not good for business. It's not good for tourism. It's not good with the World Cup coming up in, 14 months. Not good for any of that. Wes is up in the Northland. Hey, Wes, you're on KCMO. Good morning.
Yeah, Pete, when the Brit tabloids are bagging on you, it don't get much worse than that, right?
Yeah, it's a tough spot.
But there is an opportunity here because think of the slogan, come to the World Cup in Kansas City and experience a Mad Max-style hellhole for yourself. Right?
Yeah, the problem is most people, they're not looking to pay top dollar for that. And if they're coming from third world countries, they can get that in their own backyard.
But if you sell it right, there may be an opportunity. When I saw that headline, I was like, oh, my Lord, it can't get any worse than that, man. But, hey, you never say never, right?
Hey, you know what? I guess if the city needs your marketing creativity, they know how to find you, Wes and Gladstone.
Well, I've offered it to you, but you've smartly always turned me down, so I don't think there's much hope.
I'm just waiting for that one bulletproof idea you've got. I'm not sure that's it, but you know what? You keep coming up with ideas, you're going to hit one eventually, buddy.
There you go.
Yeah.
A blind hog strikes an acorn every once in a while.
Ain't that the truth there, Wes? Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
You still poor, broke, busted, and disgusted.
That could be the tagline, too. I don't know. A lot of things may work. But this is not what the city of Kansas City, Missouri wants to be dealing with or now being known for with 14 months till the World Cup, where this city is going to be on a national stage. While the city also tries to figure out how to keep the Royals in Kansas City, Missouri. And frankly, the best way to do that might be what we talked about earlier this week. Justify a way to, at least in the short term, keep them at the K. I mean, it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's likely. It's not impossible.